So I'm just recording the session for people who aren't able to make it today so I can send it to them to view afterwards. Welcome to this presentation on the latest Play Safe program update. So the first one, as I mentioned, was in about mid last year. It was prior to our second launch campaign. We had some good data at that time around our website performance since it had been upgraded the 12 months prior. We were just about to undertake our annual user evaluation survey as well, so I'll be able to update on that as well today, as well as the performance of campaign 2 and our plans for our next campaign, campaign 3, which we have ready for approval. So just for any new participants today that aren't aware of the program, it's obviously New South Wales Health's primary digital marketing program around STI prevention for young people aged 16 to 29 in New South Wales. So we've got some key behavioural measures around improving STI testing as well as the use of condoms with new and casual partners. And our platform incorporates a website as well as some social media platforms on Facebook and Instagram. A lot of our work around youth sexual health in New South Wales is informed by some segmentation research, which is really understanding the values, attitudes, behaviours and motivators of young people in relation to sex and relationship. And so just very briefly on these points, that we've identified 3 main groups of sexually active young people. In essence, there's one lower risk group, that's this group that we've titled Happily Responsible, and we've titled them because of the kind of key differentiators between the 3 groups. And so this group characterizes themselves as being responsible. They have low numbers of casual partners in total and very low numbers of casual partners, and in effect the lowest rate of diagnosis with STIs. The 2 high-risk groups include one called Experienced Sex Positive, and so again, just very briefly, this group is characterized by risk-taking, but in order to enhance their life experiences, they've got more partners, more casual partners as well. They have very positive attitudes towards our key STI prevention behaviours, including condom use and STI testing. They have the highest proportion of young people who don't identify as straight. So they're really engaged. They actively seek out information to enhance their sex and relationships, and we see them as potential key influencers for our program because they're already engaged with the messaging that we deliver. High rates of testing and high rates of STI diagnosis as well. So the third group also is characterized by being risk takers, but very different than the Experienced Sex Positive group in relation to their values and attitudes and behaviors. So this group is skewed highly male, so about 2/3 young males. They have higher numbers of both committed and casual partners, but they have much less positive views around condom use and STI testing. So they have the very low scores on the effectiveness and ease of use of condoms. They do test quite frequently, but they also have the highest rate of STI symptoms. So we expect that a lot of that testing behavior is driven by a concern about sexual behavior or an experience of symptoms. They do have the highest rate of STIs out of all of the groups of young people. They have strong values around men should be in control in relationships, and they have poor kind of attitudes towards respect in relationships as well. They're quite disengaged from sexual health messaging as well, so they're probably the kind of hardest group for us to engage, but obviously a very important group for us to engage and to target messaging towards. So the program has been very clearly targeted towards those 2 high-risk groups. We focus test a lot of our the refresh of the website and digital and social strategies around engaging those 2 high-risk groups. And when we undertook the evaluation survey of the broader Play Safe program in the middle of last year, what we found was that there was very positive attitudes towards the program, including the website and our social platforms, with the majority of young people that responded to the survey liking it or really liking it, which is very pleasing for us. And what we also found is that how our young people engage with us according to the segment their segment profiles. So the original segmentation research showed the majority of young people were from the happily responsible group. The next most were from the experienced sex positive, and the least from the dominant risk takers. Our festival project, which is also targeted around these high risk groups, shows a really great level of engagement with the experienced sex positive group, as we'd expect, and a much lower engagement with the dominant risk taker group. But the Play Safe program pleasingly showed that there's still greater engagement with that really engaged group of young people from the experienced sex positive segment, but we've got a higher proportion of engagement and response from the dominant risk taker group as well, which is really pleasing for us to know that we are engaging this harder to reach group. And also just about their behaviour. So we can the evaluation recruitment took place via a website pop-up from PlaySafe to our newsletter followers, those who have signed up to our newsletter, and social media platforms, and through a mini paid campaign to engage them to complete the survey and review our program. So just with the 4 different strategies for recruitment there, we wanted to test if there was any difference between our followers, how they follow us, and those that may not have, compared to those that may not have come into the contact with the program previously. And so what that found was that obviously the experienced sex positive group were engaged across a number of platforms, so they're the highest proportion of young people who actually sign up to our newsletter and have responded to us over our socials. But pleasingly, what we found was the dominant risk, young people from the dominant risk taker group, they just do still have a proportion of people that follow us and engage with us over socials, but the primary method of their engagement with the program is to our website. And we understand the social behaviour of the dominant risk taker group of young people. They are less likely to actively engage on social media because of the public nature of those platforms, and so they are carefully crafted social profiles, so they're the least likely to kind of post on socials or comment and that kind of stuff. They kind of view things around socials, but they're less likely to be actively engaged. So it's pleasing to know that they actively engage with us on our website, and that's through discrete Google searching. They'll come across our platform in that way. So it's important for us to engage with them as much as possible and deliver content that's relevant to them via that means. So I'll just jump straight into the results of our campaign 2. So our initial campaign was our first test at running paid campaigns. This is the first time that the program has ever kind of reached out to new audiences via advertising. So our launch campaign the results of the launch campaign led into the development of campaign 2. So our key goals for our campaign is to obviously increase awareness of our program and also engagement and visits to our site. So it's not just about visits to the site, though. It's really about what we want young people to do when they get there. So we've developed a couple of goal completions, what we call them, that like activities and deeper level of engagement for young people to get to the site. So differently from commercial marketing, where the goal of getting them to your site is to buy something, for social marketing, the goal is to behavior change. And so these little goals have been developed to support behavior change. So the Could I Have an STI quiz increases young people's awareness of susceptibility to STIs, and the STI clinic locator is an indication of their intention to get tested by finding a local testing service to them. And obviously a social-led campaign really looks to drive behaviour, engagement and social norms by the sharing and interaction that happens over campaign activity, particularly on social platforms. And this campaign ran July to September in 2019. So we target our audiences according to their interests, which is really really positive aspect of social-led campaigns, is we can target young people pretty well on particularly Facebook and Instagram. So the key interests that they have kind of align with those segment profiles that we have. So this is the way that we kind of deliver or target our creative to our key audiences. And the campaign creative approach was that what had worked in campaign 1 was that being slightly quirky and humorous and using real life imagery really engaged our audience and drove them to the goal completions of the site. So the success of that had led to the similar creative direction for campaign 2, and it was based around that pea in the cup feeling being a really positive, humorous way to provide that kind of key messaging around STI testing, that it's quick and easy, it make you feel better and more confident by undertaking that behavior. So this slide's a bit busy, but it basically shows the key metrics around that campaign performance. So I'll just cherry pick out a few kind of data of interest, which is that of the just over 23,000 that was spent on that campaign, we had over 5 million impressions, which means the number of times that the campaign creative was displayed over those social channels. It led to over 100,000 clicks by our audience. So what we measure is a click-through rate, which is the rate of audience kind of engagement with the campaign, and the cost per click that we find is another key measure. So the usual click-through rate is about 1 to 1.5%. It's about under 1%, but we achieved a click-through rate of almost 1.5%. And a kind of benchmark for the cost per click is between 80 cents and $1 for a cost per click, and this campaign achieved a 44-cent cost per click. So it outperformed benchmark activities, which really highlighted the kind of engaging nature of the creative that was used, as well as our ability to target that creative to our target audiences. So were really pleasing results for that campaign. Some a bit more detail there is just around the audience behavior as well. So often what happens is that young females are most likely to engage with our creative, and that's kind of across health channels, not just around sexual health. And what Facebook does is that it has an algorithm that it targets the campaign towards like audiences to that which is already engaging with the campaign. So because more young females are engaging with the campaign, the channel will send the creative or the campaign messaging to like audiences to those that have already engaged. So what we find is that young females actually get targeted a lot more with the campaign because they're the ones that are most likely to engage. And that's really good for commercial marketing, because those that are engaging, you want more people like them to engage because you're going to drive sales. But for us in social marketing, it's not about sales, obviously, and it's not about just sending campaign activity to those that are most engaged by it. But we have to really send messaging to those that are least engaged by it as well. So we really need to push it to those that are less likely to engage, which actually affects our performance, obviously, by trying to engage the least likely to engage. And so what we did in this campaign was that we switched off the targeting of young females. Sorry, I've gone too far there. And halfway through the campaign bursts, and so then much more engagement, much more of the campaign activity was directed towards young males. So you can see the orange bars there are much representing young female engagement, and they're much higher at the start of campaign bursts, and then halfway through we switch off the targeting of those audiences, and then the young males are better engaged and better targeted. So it was a key learning from this campaign about how we manage this waterfalling effect, particularly within Facebook. So for the next campaign, we will actually allocate an amount of budget, similar budget for females as well as for males separately, so that they're actually receiving the same amount of campaign activity. Obviously, it will weaken our performance because young males are less likely to engage with us, but it's just something that we obviously feel important to do as part of the campaign, is to even engage those that are least likely to engage with us. Interestingly, this is the first time the campaign was delivered on the channel of Snapchat. So what we found was that we had the greatest level of engagement with young men on Snapchat. They outperformed young females on this channel, and what we've considered is that this is because Snapchat is a much more private channel. it actually it's not really kind of social in terms of other people can see what your behavior is on this channel. So it may be the reason why young males are more likely to engage with our content on this channel than the other more social platforms. So we actually had a 10% per swipe up, which is the key feature of Snapchat, is swiping up, not clicks. And so there's 29,000 young males swiped versus 19,000 young females. So it's really great for our program that this is a great channel for us to engage young males. Just a little bit around some of the kind of commentary and engagement and activity that happened through the campaign. So predominantly young people were kind of enjoying the humor-based nature of the creatives in tagging their friends and you guys should get tested, which was really kind of a fun and engaging way that we had expected young people to engage with, and so that was pleasing to see that result. Similarly, there was lots of engagement, particularly by that young male group, around the double meaning of STI, which is STI is also a type of fully sick car. So, could I have an STI? These guys are tagging their STIs and tagging their mates and wishing that they had STIs. And so when you actually kind of delve into this population, you can see it's these guys that are fully sick car lovers and would be the least likely to engage with sexual health related material in any other setting. So it's kind of, although they're engaging with it from a different reason, it allows that kind of content to be shared across their social networks as well, which is really pleasing for the campaign. And obviously some surprise comments like, why is this coming across my feed, and why is social media targeting me like this? And again, it's quite fun and humorous, and also kind of some level of engagement through being targeted in this way. And some specific sexual health related comments, which is also really pleasing that young people are engaging in the right way around it. So tagging their friends around the need to get checked and like the positive results of being tested, what might be standing in their way of getting tested, and their friends, trying to overcome those barriers for them, and some commentary that we're able to kind of respond to from PlaySafe to overcome some of those barriers, or even some of the humor-based pushback that we got from our audience. So again, some nice behaviors that we can engage there through the campaign. So just leading on to our plans for the next campaign. So building off those key learnings that from our previous campaign, we, as I mentioned, are allocating spend to males and females equally for this campaign. So we still expect to see that really great natural engagement that happens with young females. Young males, it'll be interesting to see what level of engagement there'll be for the spend that's specifically targeted towards them. So it will likely impact on our metrics around campaign performance, and so we might not see as great campaign kind of results, but obviously it's a key element of our focus is to engage that harder to reach group of young males and also that dominant risk taker group with our campaign activity to ensure that they're receiving those messages, and hopefully kind of leading to some level of engagement and behavior support. Other key learnings that we found was that story now performs better. So Insta stories and Facebook stories is where our best engagement happens. So ensuring that we have creative that fits within those elements of the channels is really key to continue to support that engagement. Also with Snapchat, we hadn't been able to measure the behavior, so we knew that we had that level of engagement, but we couldn't measure how many goal completions we had, which we could measure on Facebook and Instagram. So we now have the ability to do that on Snapchat as well, which will help our understanding of what happens after people have engaged or gone through to the website. So just some of the indicative creative that we're using for this campaign. So similar to our last campaign, slightly humor-based but real-life imagery. Engages young people and delivers a specific message to them and drives them to the goal completions on the site. So this was kind of our highest performing creative from the last campaign. But what we also found in the last campaign was that there was a drop through the campaign period that we expect to be sort of campaign fatigue. So as many of our audience had already seen or engaged with the campaign through that period, and so what we needed to ensure or reduce the potential for fatigue was new creative, so that it was less likely to kind of see that fatigue response. So we've actually got a couple of extra elements to the campaign for this time, so that we reduce that potential for fatigue. So along with these kind of image-based creative approaches, we have included these, particularly for stories and Snapchat, they're SMS-based creative approach. So what happens is that a really kind of engaging message, like an SMS text message, pops up on your screen that kind of catches your eye and breaks through your kind of engagement, and then it shows through that ... that's happening on the side that someone's about to respond, and then one by one with the sound, each message pops up onto the screen as like an SMS, and what it allows us to create a short narrative, or a little really kind of story-based engagement to engage young people and deliver a key message to them as well. So this one is around potential for symptoms, and normalizes that and normalizes testing behavior, and then drives people to swipe up to where to find your nearest STI clinic. So we've got about 4 different stories to share, some targeting males, some targeting females, and some for both. And so this is another one that about relationships and the need for testing early on in relationships. It really kind of nicely worded and nicely kind of that narrative style of telling a story with the use of emojis, and again this kind of chat-based story development. The next one is female focused, about a potential STI concern or not using condoms, and so swipe up to find out what to do next. So we are having along with the STI testing creative, a bigger focus on condom promotion for this campaign as well. So a lot more of the creative is condom promotion based, and so we've got a new landing page developed for the campaign, which has a goal completion on the site around a condom quiz. So and also this 3 steps to take to if you forgot to use condoms or something happened about your condom use, and so that will be our measure of audience behavior for the condom based creative. We're also having a small promotion within the platform for this campaign to win 100 condoms. So if you complete the quiz and get the perfect score, which you can try as many times as you like, then you can go in the draw to win 100 condoms as well. So we're looking forward to seeing how that promotion, with the results of that promotion. The additional element that we have as well is the use of our PlaySafe forum peer moderators. So we've got these really great engaged young people that moderate the PlaySafe community forum on the website. So they kind of post questions and respond to other questions and engagement from users around issues around sex and relationships. So they're really great engaged group of young people who've had training around sexual health, but they also kind of are naturally really on message for us. We're really trying to find new ways to use our peer moderators, and so we've done some video edits with them around some of the key messages for the program. They're within the website. We drive them over socials as well. We have a YouTube channel now too, and so we wanted to include them as a face of the campaign as well. So again, it really promotes engagement with other young people, to see young people like them, telling of their own experiences. So there's some condom-based stories there. There's STI testing stories, and we're expecting to see really a kind of new level of quality of engagement through the use of real young people telling their stories as part of the creative process. So yeah, there's additional creative elements will really, we hope to drive for improved engagement through the campaign period. We have a slightly bigger spend for this campaign than for previous campaigns. We hope that these additional campaign creative elements will kind of overcome some of the challenge we might see of engagement by sort of targeting young males and young females separately, and so we are really looking to see the kind of key the outcome of this campaign, so the campaign at the moment is just waiting final approval, and we expect to be in market over March and April of this year. So if you're in the target group or you know people in the target group, make sure you are watching out for this campaign to come across your social channels. Next steps from that will be the kind of review of the campaign performance after it wraps up. We'll undertake our next annual evaluation through our user survey at the end of the financial year, as well as kind of collating all of the metrics from the website. And so I expect that once all of that data is collected, I'll be able to provide the next session of the Play Safe program update probably in about another 5 or 6 months' time. So I look forward to kind of presenting hopefully some really great, fantastic results of the program at that point. So thanks for jumping onto the session today. If there was any questions, feel free to use the instant messaging chat facility on Skype. If there's a quick question that you wanted to ask, I can respond to. But otherwise, yeah, it's really pleasing to see some of these results and be able to present them to you all, particularly around the user survey, which is the first time we've done something like that before, and it really not only understanding our behavior and our audience behavior and engaging with them in an evaluation of the program, also understanding who follows us and who's engaging with the program in what different ways, and according to their segment groups as well. It really provides that really depth of understanding of our audience and provides us with that kind of insight as to what strategies we can use to improve engagement for the different high-risk groups of young people across the different channels of the platform. So what I thought around sharing the PowerPoint is that I'll send you the slides. I just need to block out some of the names of the Facebook commentary that was part of the presentation today, and then I'll send it around as a PDF, or attach it to the calendar invite, or send it to those that have jumped on today. Yeah, and I'm happy for it to be shared around to your teams as well. If you have any other questions or want any kind of particular feedback on any of the points, feel free to hit me up after the meeting as well, and I'm happy to provide any further detail that's of interest to you all. So I'll leave it at that for today. So thanks again for joining us. Also, if you have any feedback around whether this channel was satisfactory to use for this presentation, we really want to kind of see what the best experience people have, either via Zoom or by Skype or other channels that might be available to us. So if it has been okay, or if there's been any challenges with it, please let me know as well, and that'll help us to kind of deliver the best channel for this update for the next one in about 6 months' time. So I look forward to seeing you again then, if not before. So thanks everyone. Have a nice day.